So I want you to picture this.
Yeah.
It is March 31st, 2026.
Okay.
We are inside the Estadio Akron, right? Down in Guadalajara, Mexico. And the high altitude is just completely thinning the air out.
Yeah, you can basically feel it in your lungs just watching.
Exactly. It is the 100th minute of this incredibly agonizing, lungs-burning interconfederation playoff match against Jamaica.
Well, the tension.
The tension in that stadium is absolutely unbearable. I mean, you can see the sheer exhaustion on the players' faces, the heavy legs, those desperate glances over at the referee just begging for a whistle.
Right.
And then suddenly, a corner kick is swung right into the box.
There you go.
Axel Tuanzebe, a defender who, he's played at the absolute highest levels of European football, right? He just rises up above this chaotic scramble in the box.
Yeah.
And he meets the ball with this thunderous header and sends it crashing right into the back of the net.
It was an unbelievable moment.
It really was, because that single decisive impact, it didn't just win a football match. It instantly vaporized 52 years of national sporting trauma.
Literally half a century.
Half a century of frustration just lifted right off the collective shoulders of the Democratic Republic of Congo.
And, the physical reaction from the players on the pitch, it told the entire story.
Yeah.
You saw these guys, these hardened professionals, just collapse in tears looking up at the sky.
Unbelievable scene.
And you could actually feel the shock waves of that goal radiating all the way from that stadium in Mexico right back to the streets of Kinshasa. It was just pure, unadulterated catharsis.
It really was. And that goal, it ended one of the longest droughts in international sports history.
Yeah.
So today is June 11th, 2026. The 2026 World Cup officially kicks off today all across North America.
It's finally here.
It is. And to understand what might honestly be the most fascinating underdog story of this entire tournament, we are pulling from a massive stack of sources today.
We've got a lot to get through.
Oh, yeah. We've got comprehensive tactical guides, official FIFA reports, sports betting previews, and some really in-depth geopolitical news articles.
Right.
Because we are doing a deep dive squarely on the DR Congo national football team.
And there's such an interesting case study.
They really are. The best way I can think to understand this team's return is, imagine a legendary, deeply beloved indie band, right?
Okay, I like this.
So they played this one infamous gig 50 years ago, and then they just vanished.
Gone without a trace.
Right. They became this myth, a story passed down through generations of fans who never actually saw them play a single note.
Just heard the rumors.
Exactly. And now, suddenly, out of nowhere, they are booked to headline the biggest music festival in the world.
The World Cup.
Right. So the fan base is obviously ecstatic. But the overriding question, in all the tactical breakdowns we read, is, do they have the mechanics to actually perform on the main stage? Or is the sheer weight of their own mythology just going to completely crush them?
Yeah, and that mythology you're talking about, that is precisely where we need to start.
Right.
Because you really cannot analyze the tactical structures or the betting odds or even the psychology of this current squad without dissecting that massive shadow they are stepping out of.
It's a huge shadow.
It is. The historical context, it basically dictates everything about how this team operates today.
So we have to travel all the way back to 1974.
Wow. Yeah, 52 years ago.
Right. This was the last and actually the only time they appeared at a World Cup.
Under a different name, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Back then, the country was competing under the name Zaire.
Right.
And on paper, they were pioneers. They were the very first sub-Saharan African nation to ever qualify for a World Cup.
Which is huge.
It is. That should be a point of immense, just untouchable pride for the country.
It definitely should be. But, the reality of that 1974 tournament in West Germany is that it became, frankly, a generational nightmare.
A total disaster based on the sources.
Yeah. The campaign was just marred by intense organizational chaos.
Right.
So the geopolitical climate of Zaire at the time, under President Mobutu Sese Seko, it meant that football was essentially being used as a massive propaganda tool by the state.
So the pressure was on right from the start.
Oh, immense pressure. The team arrived carrying the weight of the state's expectations. But then the administrative infrastructure just completely collapsed.
Like off the pitch.
Exactly, off the pitch. The players suddenly realized they weren't going to receive their promised tournament bonuses.
Oh, man. That never goes well.
No, it doesn't. And the sources outline that these off-pitch disputes over pay, they directly bled onto the pitch.
Yeah.
It wasn't just that they lost their games, it was how they lost.
They got crushed.
They suffered 3 brutal group stage defeats. And the most devastating one was this record-equaling 9-0 destruction by Yugoslavia.
9-0. I mean, 9-0 at a World Cup isn't just a loss.
No.
It is a profound humiliation that, well, it gets seared right into the national identity. And since that tournament, I mean, the nation has changed its name. They've weathered decades of really intense political and social upheaval. And through all of that, the football team has failed to qualify every single time.
Every single time.
They literally watched every single World Cup from the couch for 52 years.
And that creates a very specific type of cultural anxiety.
I bet.
The psychological hangover of a 9-0 loss, coupled with a half-century drought. I mean, generations of Congolese fans grew up hearing these cautionary tales of 1974.
Like a ghost story.
Yeah, basically. They had the passion, obviously, but they completely lacked the validation of seeing their flag actually fly on the global stage.
Right.
It builds an environment where the national team is just heavily, heavily scrutinized, where every single missed qualification feels like a continuation of this historical curse.
Yeah, and you can see that deep cultural connection reflected in the team's nicknames, too, which the sources really highlight as being these vital pieces of their identity.
Oh, the nicknames are great.
They are. So most fans globally, you probably know them as Les Leopards, right? The Leopards,
Right.
Which originated back in the 60s and 70s. And the leopard is this profound regional symbol of physical power, agility, and ferocity.
It was actually the personal totem of Mobutu.
Exactly. And the team actually wore these incredibly vibrant leopard print kits back in 1974.
Iconic kits.
Seriously iconic. But there are other names used locally, too, like Guerriers de l'Équateur, the Warriors of the Equator.
Which is a great name.
It is, and it really grounds their identity in their specific geography.
Right.
And then there's La Celeste, the sky blue, which is just a nod to the bright kits they wear today.
And these nicknames, they aren't just for marketing. They serve a very functional psychological purpose.
How so?
Well, when a team lacks recent historical success, cultural symbols become the glue that holds the squad together.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. They constantly remind the players that they represent this massive, vibrant nation, not just a struggling football federation.
Right.
And trust me, they needed every single ounce of that ferociousness during their qualification gauntlet.
Because the qualification process in the Confederation of African Football, or CA, is notoriously brutal.
It's arguably the hardest in the world.
The margins for error are microscopic. So DR Congo, they finished second in their initial group behind Senegal.
Right.
Then they get thrown right into the playoff rounds. They had to beat Cameroon, which they did with a late, pretty desperate goal.
Yeah.
Then they faced a totally nerve-shredding penalty shootout against Nigeria.
Oh, I remember that.
And finally, that interconfederation playoff against Jamaica that went all the way to extra time before that Twanzebe header we talked about.
And the mechanism of their qualification is really the most important data point we have in all these sources.
Okay, tell me why.
Look at the method of those victories. Late goals, penalty shootouts, extra time.
It wasn't pretty.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
They didn't dismantle their opponents with sweeping, beautiful attacking football. They just survived.
They just held on.
Right. They absorbed pressure, and they capitalized on tiny momentary lapses from their opponents. And doing that over and over, it builds a highly specific, very battle-hardened tournament character.
Okay, so this actually brings up a major friction point for me.
Okay.
Because I look at a 52-year absence, right? The ghost of a 9-0 loss, and a qualification campaign where literally every single match felt like a life or death struggle.
Yeah.
To me, that sounds like a recipe for a team that arrives at the World Cup entirely, just emotionally exhausted.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah. I mean, the history has to feel like this suffocating pressure that just makes their legs heavy before the first whistle even blows.
What's interesting you say that, because the sports psychology reports in our sources suggest the exact opposite mechanism is actually at play here.
Really?
Primarily because of how the current management has framed the whole narrative. You have to remember, the current players on this squad, they were not alive in 1974.
That's a good point.
Right. They don't carry the personal trauma of being on the pitch for that Yugoslavia match. So the management has successfully framed this 2026 campaign not as a continuation of all those past failures, but as a total rebirth.
Oh, wow. A rebirth.
Yeah, that suffocating pressure you mentioned, it was actually released the very moment Twanzebe's header hit the net against Jamaica.
Because they finally did it.
Exactly. Because they broke the 52-year curse. They've already achieved their primary historic objective just by getting here.
Right.
So now they are basically playing with house money. And that is a very dangerous freedom for their opponents to deal with.
Dangerous freedom.
Yeah.
I really love that framing.
Yeah.
But, freedom without structure is just chaos, right?
Oh, absolutely.
To bridge the gap from a chaotic historical identity to this methodical, battle-hardened team we see today, you need a master architect.
You do.
And all the sources point directly to a 49-year-old French head coach named Sébastien Desabre.
Papa Seba.
Right. The fans call him Papa Seba.
And Sébastien Desabre is, without a doubt, the ultimate pragmatic tactician.
Okay.
So he took over the team in 2022, and he has this massive resume across the African continent. He's managed clubs and national teams in Uganda, Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia, Angola, Ivory Coast, and Cameroon.
Wow. So he's been everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
He deeply, deeply understands the logistical and cultural landscape of African football. But what's fascinating is that the tactical analyses universally highlight that he brought this strict, quote-unquote, English-style managerial approach to DR Congo.
Wait, I want to break down that term English style.
Sure.
Because DR Congo historically had a reputation for the exact opposite of that.
Oh, 100%.
They were known for having brilliant individual flair, incredible athleticism, but absolutely zero cohesive structure. Like, if the game got chaotic, they would just completely fall apart.
Right. So the term English style,
Yeah.
in this specific context, it refers to a manager who operates essentially as an overarching dictator of standards.
A dictator of standards.
Yeah. Desabre didn't just come in and implement a new formation on the whiteboard.
Yeah.
He completely overhauled the entire operational protocol.
Wow.
He controls the defensive lineman on the pitch, and he strictly controls the Federation's logistical travel plans off the pitch.
He micromanages everything.
Everything. Because he recognized that you simply cannot rely on individual flair to survive a World Cup qualification campaign. You have to rely on an automated, almost emotionless system.
Right.
His core philosophy, which has been famously quoted in the press, is discipline must begin on the pitch.
And you really see that discipline in their primary tactical strength, which the sources describe as just an absolute fortress.
It really is.
Desabre sets them up in this highly compact 4-1-4-1 formation.
Yes.
Now, sometimes he shifts to a 3-4-3 or a 3-5-2 if this specific opponent demands it, but the core defensive principles, they remain identical.
So let's examine the actual mechanics of that 4-1-4-1, because it really explains their entire identity as a team right now.
Okay, let's do it.
In this system, obviously, you have 4 defenders at the back.
Right.
But directly in front of them is a single deep-lying defensive midfielder.
The lone guy in the middle.
Exactly. And this player is the most critical component of the entire setup. Their job is not to attack. Their job is to act as a screen.
Just sweeping things up.
Sweeping, constantly scanning the pitch. They drop into the defensive line when the opponent attacks out wide, and they step up to physically choke passing lanes when the opponent tries to attack down the middle.
Okay.
Then, in front of that single pivot, are 4 more midfielders. And this includes 2 incredibly energetic box-to-box number 8s, whose sole purpose is to endlessly press the opponent and recover the ball.
So by putting 5 players in the midfield, right, with one specifically anchored right in front of the defense, they are essentially telling the opponent, you are not going through the middle of the pitch. We are completely clogging the center.
Exactly. Find another way.
And the craziest part is how well it actually works.
It's nuts.
There is this astonishing, almost unbelievable statistic from the official reports we read. Under Sébastien Desabre, the full DR Congo squad has never lost a match by more than 1 goal.
Not once.
Not a single time.
It is a staggering mathematical testament to his defensive architecture.
I mean, how is that even possible?
Well, because even when they are vastly outpossessed, right?
Yeah.
Even when they are playing a team with wildly superior individual talent, the system just refuses to collapse.
They just hold their shape.
Yeah. They never get blown out. They turn every single match into a grinding, frustrating, very low-scoring war of attrition.
But, every fortress has a blind spot.
Of course.
If you commit all your resources to building these massively thick walls, you don't exactly leave much room for the archers to shoot back, right?
No, you don't.
Their main vulnerability is explicitly labeled in the tactical guides as the attacking puzzle.
The puzzle, yeah.
Because they are so hyper-focused on maintaining this rigid 4-1-4-1 structure, they struggle immensely to dominate ball possession or actually create scoring chances in open play.
Right.
If the opposing team just sits back and says, here, you take the ball, you try to break us down, DR Congo looks completely lost.
They don't know what to do with it.
Exactly. They rely almost entirely on quick, direct counterattacks and set pieces like corners and free kicks.
And that is the necessary trade-off of this extreme pragmatism.
Yeah.
When your two central midfielders are just totally exhausted from constantly pressing and maintaining that defensive shape for 70 minutes, they just do not have the physical energy or even the structural positioning to transition smoothly into a fluid attack.
They're too far back.
Right. So the lone striker is very often left completely isolated, like 50 yards away from the rest of the team.
The analogy I keep coming back to when reading about De Saber's system is it's like a highly advanced martial artist who specializes exclusively in counterpunches.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Right, like this fighter has an impenetrable guard. You just cannot hit them cleanly, and if you swing wildly at them, they will slip the punch and knock you out with a devastating counterstrike. But if their opponent simply refuses to throw a punch and just stands there, forcing our martial artist to initiate the attack, the fighter freezes. They just don't have the mechanics to open up an opponent who is also playing defense.
That captures the dynamic perfectly.
Yeah.
They are fundamentally a reactive organism, not a proactive one.
Right.
If you force them to dictate the tempo of a match, their midfield becomes completely stagnant. But, the success of a reactive defensive system isn't just about the theory drawn on a whiteboard. It depends entirely on the physical and psychological capability of the actual defenders executing it.
Exactly. So let's look at the actual wall, right? The elite veteran defenders who are actually making De Saber's tactical vision a reality on the pitch.
The guys doing the dirty work.
Right. And the undisputed spiritual and structural anchor of this defense is their 31-year-old captain, Chancel Mbemba.
Chancel Mbemba is just a monumental figure for Congolese football.
Yeah.
He has accumulated 109 international caps,
Right.
which makes him the most experienced player on the roster by a very wide margin. But honestly, it's his club pedigree that really matters here.
Right. Where has he played?
He has played for massive, extremely high-pressure European clubs. Porto, Marseille, and currently Lille.
That's top tier.
It is. He deeply understands the geometry of elite football. He possesses world-class anticipation, meaning he literally reads where the pass is going before it's even kicked.
Wow.
And he has the physical recovery speed to correct mistakes if the defensive line somehow gets broken.
And De Saber actually noted in an interview that Mbemba is a very silent leader.
Right.
Like, he doesn't need to scream at his teammates or wave his arms around. His sheer professionalism and his elite positioning just sort of naturally lift the standard of the entire group.
Lead by example.
Exactly. But Mbemba isn't just a defender. Because DR Congo struggles so much to score in open play, set pieces are a primary weapon for them. And Mbemba is a massive offensive threat in the air.
Oh, absolutely. And the mechanics of set-piece goals are vital for underdog teams. When Mbemba comes forward for a corner kick, he isn't just relying on being called. He relies on the perfect timing of his run and his ability to track the flight of the ball through an incredibly crowded penalty area.
Right.
We saw this perfectly demonstrated when he scored the late decisive winner against Cameroon in the qualifiers. He is a center back who can single-handedly alter the mathematics of a match without the team needing to construct a 20-pass attacking sequence.
And then right next to him, you have this massive new addition to the squad, Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Oh, yeah.
The West Ham United defender recently filed the paperwork to officially switch his international allegiance from England to DR Congo.
Huge news for them.
Massive. Globally, Wan-Bissaka is renowned for one specific, highly specialized trait: elite one-on-one lockdown defending.
And Wan-Bissaka's inclusion completely changes the structural limits of De Saber's defense.
How so? Break that down.
Let's look at the mechanics of why. In standard international football, if an opposing world-class winger beats your fullback in a one-on-one situation on the outside, the center back has to step out of the middle to cover that mistake.
This leaves a gap.
Exactly. That creates a massive hole right in the center of the penalty area for the opponent to exploit. But because Wan-Bissaka possesses such elite tackling angles and timing, he almost never gets beaten one-on-one.
Right.
So because he neutralizes the winger entirely on his own on the flank, the center backs like Mbemba never have to leave the middle. Wan-Bissaka preserves the structural integrity of the entire defensive unit.
That is such a luxury for a manager.
It really is.
And rounding out that core is Axel Tuanzebe, the Burnley center back, who, like we said, scored the historic goal against Jamaica.
Right.
Beyond his aerial dominance, the tactical reports highlight his composure on the ball. He is incredibly comfortable playing the ball out from the back, even when he's under high physical pressure from opposing forwards.
And Kronzebe provides a very modern ball-playing dimension to the defense.
Right.
If De Sever wants to shift into a three-man defense, he needs center backs who can act as deep playmakers, guys who can safely distribute the ball to the wing backs, rather than just aimlessly clearing it 50 yards at the pitch.
It's hoofing it away.
Exactly. Tuanzebe provides that essential tactical flexibility.
Okay, but here's where I'm going to take a hard stance.
All right, let's hear it.
You have these three elite defenders, right?
Yeah.
Mbemba, Wan-Bissaka, Tuanzebe. They play in the Premier League, in League One. They face the best attackers in the world every single weekend.
True.
But the sources are very clear that DR Congo has a severe lack of roster depth.
They do.
So playing right alongside these European stars, you have squad players from much lower divisions. Guys like Steve Kapwadi, who plays in Poland, or Dylan Batubinsika, who plays in the Greek second division. I look at that massive disparity in club-level experience, and I see a fatal flaw. Defensive chemistry requires telepathy. If half your defensive line operates just a fraction of a second slower because they don't play at an elite level week in and week out, elite teams will tear that defensive line to shreds.
Okay, in a club football environment, your logic is absolutely flawless.
Right.
But international football operates on entirely different mechanical principles.
Okay, how so?
In a club setting, you have 9 months out of the year to build intricate telepathic chemistry. You practice every day. In international football, you have 5 days of practice before a match?
Yeah, barely any time.
You cannot build chemistry in 5 days. Therefore, managers have to rely on strict, uncompromising systems. This is exactly why De Sever's rigid 4-1-4-1 is the ultimate equalizer.
So the system hides the flaws.
Precisely. Kapwadi and Batubinsika might not possess the individual recovery speed of a Wan-Bissaka. But if the system dictates exactly where they stand, exactly what angle their body should face, and exactly when they step forward, the system masks the individual disparity.
Wow.
They don't need telepathy. They just need absolute obedience. A rigid structure protects the weaker links.
That actually makes total sense. The system is the safety net that catches them.
Yes.
So we've established that this incredibly disciplined defense ensures you don't lose the game.
Right.
But a 0-0 draw only gets you so far. You actually need to score goals to advance in a World Cup.
You do eventually have to put the ball in the net.
Exactly. So let's transition to the spearhead, the attackers who are actually tasked with solving De Sever's attacking puzzle.
And the undisputed catalyst for their counterattacking philosophy is the 29-year-old Newcastle United winger, Yoane Wissa.
Wissa is electric.
He really is.
The tactical breakdowns highlight three main things about him: his explosive speed, his relentless defensive pressing, and his incredible intelligence in finding space, specifically in what the guides call the half spaces.
Yeah, and to really understand why Wissa is so dangerous, we have to define the mechanics of the half space.
Go for it.
So if you take a football pitch and divide it vertically into 5 lanes,
Okay.
you have the 2 wide lanes by the touch lines, the central lane right down the middle, and then the 2 lanes in between those, the half spaces.
Got it.
The half space is the most dangerous zone on a football pitch. If a player receives the ball out wide by the sideline, their passing options are limited to 180 degrees.
Because the sideline cuts them off?
Right. If they receive it right in the center, it's highly congested with center backs and defensive midfielders.
Yeah.
But if Wissa receives the ball in the half space facing the goal, he forces a horrible, terrible decision onto the opponent.
What's the decision?
Does the center back step out to tackle him, leaving the middle completely open? Or does the fullback pinch in, leaving the wing wide open?
It's a lose-lose for the defense.
Exactly. And Wissa exploits that hesitation perfectly. The sources note he was actually the first Congolese player to score over 10 goals in a Premier League season during his time at Brentford.
Wow.
He thrives in transition. When DR Congo wins the ball deep in their own territory, Wissa makes these immediate diagonal slashing runs right into those half spaces, providing the perfect outlet to relieve the pressure.
And he works just as hard defensively, too.
Oh, yeah.
He initiates the high press to harass the opposing defenders before they can even build an attack.
And joining him in the attack is a player who really represents the historical bridge of this squad, Cedric Bakambu.
Right.
He is 35 years old now, currently playing at Real Betis in Spain, and he is DR Congo's all-time leading scorer with 21 goals and 70 caps.
But at 35, he obviously can't press like Wissa for a full 90 minutes.
Of course not.
The guides suggest his role might become more rotational in this tournament, but his off-the-ball movement is described as absolutely elite.
Exactly. Physical speed naturally diminishes with age, but spatial intelligence does not.
He knows where to be.
Bakambu knows exactly how to read the blind spots of center backs. When DR Congo is chasing a game in the 75th minute, bringing on a veteran who knows exactly how to find a tiny pocket of space in a crowded penalty area, that is an invaluable asset.
But the sources also dedicated a lot of ink to the future of the attack.
Yes, the kids.
They highlight two 21-year-old midfield prodigies who represent a massive modernization of the DR Congo squad. Noah Siddiqui, who plays for Sunderland, and Galio Mukau, who plays for Lille.
These two players are the actual answer to the attacking puzzle we discussed earlier.
Okay, tell me why.
Noah Siddiqui is a dynamic, absolute box-to-box engine. He possesses the raw physical power to disrupt the opponent's midfield, but crucially, he has the progressive passing range to immediately launch those counterattacks to Wissa.
And the Guardian's World Cup guide describes Galio Mukau as, quote, unusually elegant.
I love that description.
They call him a press-resistant playmaker with a superb left foot. And there's a really great backstory here, too. He actually chose to represent DR Congo over Belgium, who tried extremely hard to recruit him for their national team.
Securing Mukau was a massive geopolitical victory for the Congolese Federation.
Yeah.
And let's look at the mechanics of why a press-resistant, left-footed playmaker is so absolutely vital.
Break it down.
When an opposing team high-presses a right-footed midfielder on the right side of the pitch, that player often has to turn their back to the play to shield the ball.
Which completely stalls the attack.
Right. But a left-footed player on that same right side naturally opens their body toward the center of the pitch as they receive the ball.
So they can see everything.
They have a much wider angle of vision. Mukau uses his technical refinement and this natural body angle to escape pressure and play a quick one-touch progressive pass, entirely bypassing the opponent's press.
You know, the analogy I want to use here isn't the standard vault door metaphor for the defense.
Okay, what do you have?
Think of the DR Congo team as a heavy-duty truck.
A truck, all right.
The defensive line in Mbemba, Wan-Bissaka, they're the massive engine block. They generate all the raw power and stability for the whole vehicle.
Yep.
Wissa and Bakambu are the wheels where the rubber actually meets the road.
Right.
But an engine connected straight to the wheels just revs wildly and goes absolutely nowhere.
You need a transmission.
Exactly, you need a transmission. Siddiqui and Mukau are the transmission. They take the raw defensive power, shift the gears, and transfer that energy smoothly up to the attackers. Without them, the team is just stuck in neutral.
That is a highly accurate mechanical metaphor. The midfield transmission literally dictates the efficiency of the entire vehicle.
Okay, well, we need to pivot entirely here.
Yeah.
Because as if preparing for a World Cup after a 52-year absence, managing a lack of depth and trying to solve a complex attacking puzzle isn't enough.
It never is.
The sources document a massive, entirely unexpected hurdle that slammed into the team literally just weeks before the tournament began.
Right, the off-pitch disruptions. We have to impartially examine the logistical nightmare that was triggered by the public health crisis in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo.
Right, and the sources report this very objectively, and we will do exactly the same.
Of course.
In mid-May, just weeks before the tournament started, an Ebola outbreak was officially declared in eastern DR Congo. At the time the news reports were published, there were over 600 suspected cases and 139 suspected deaths.
It is a profound, tragic public health emergency for the entire region.
It is. And it had an immediate cascading effect on the national team's World Cup preparation.
Because the intersection of global health crises and international sports always results in very severe logistical protocols.
Yeah.
The United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, they maintained incredibly strict travel restrictions for individuals originating from regions with active Ebola outbreaks. And the ruling was absolute. No non-U.S. passport holders could enter the United States if they had been inside the DR Congo within the previous 21 days.
21 days. I mean, this completely detonated the Federation's itinerary.
Blew it out.
They had planned this massive, highly emotional send-off ceremony in the capital, Kinshasa.
Yep.
The head of state was going to be there, tens of thousands of fans on the streets. That entire parade had to be completely canceled.
Heartbreaking.
And the Federation had to scramble at the last possible minute to relocate their entire pre-tournament training camp to Belgium purely to satisfy the CDC's 21-day quarantine requirement before they could legally board a flight to North America.
And from a sports science perspective, the disruption really cannot be overstated.
It must be chaos.
Elite teams plan their World Cup camps years in advance. They do it to manage circadian rhythms, climate acclimation, highly tuned training schedules.
Right.
DR Congo had to change time zones multiple times, adapt to unfamiliar Belgian training facilities on literally zero notice, all while carrying the heavy psychological awareness of a lethal crisis unfolding in their home country.
And this is where I look at the situation, and honestly, I predict disaster.
Really?
Yeah, you have a team that relies heavily on national pride, right? Their nicknames, their identity, it's all deeply tied to the fans back home.
It's true.
Suddenly, you cancel their send-off parade, you put them on a plane to some isolated hotel in Belgium, you isolate them for 3 weeks while terrible news comes out of their country every day. I just don't see how a team recovers from that kind of emotional severing.
You think it breaks them?
They are completely disconnected from the nation they are supposed to be representing. It has to completely fracture their momentum.
See, it is entirely logical to assume a psychological fracture in that scenario.
Right.
However, the psychological profiles of defensively oriented, highly reactive teams suggest the exact opposite mechanism actually occurs.
How is that possible?
History shows us that when you take a team whose entire on-pitch identity is built on resilience, right? Absorbing pressure, just surviving.
Yeah.
And you subject them to intense external adversity and isolation, you hyper-accelerate their group cohesion. They are completely removed from the distractions of media parades and local politics. They are locked in a bubble. It enforces a very strict us-against-the-world bunker mentality.
Okay, I can see that.
De Sabre previously referred to his players in an interview as soldiers going into battle. The isolation in Belgium likely just crystallized that mindset. They aren't distracted. They are hyper-focused on survival.
A bunker mentality forged in a Belgian hotel.
Exactly.
And they are going to need every microscopic ounce of that mentality because this isolated, battle-tested, defensively uncompromising team now arrives in North America to face the gauntlet of Group K.
It's a tough group.
Let's break down the mechanics of exactly who they have to fight to survive.
Group K is just a fascinating tactical collision. It features Portugal, Colombia, and Uzbekistan.
So match 1 is against Portugal, June 17th in Houston, Texas. Portugal is the undisputed Goliath here.
Oh, heavily favored.
They are minus 210 to win the group. They scored 20 goals in their qualifying campaign alone. They are led by Cristiano Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, and Vitinha.
And Portugal operates with elite technical possession. Their entire system is designed to overload defensive zones.
Right.
Players like Bruno Fernandes specialize in making late, darting runs into those exact half spaces we discussed earlier, specifically to break down low blocks.
So how does DR Congo even survive that?
For DR Congo, the objective in match 1 is not to win.
It's not.
No. The objective is sheer survival. De Sabre will likely deploy his most compressed, tightest low block yet. He will task his 2 box-to-box midfielders with man-marking Fernandes and Vitinha.
Shadowing them.
Physically shadowing them everywhere to deny them the space to even turn and face the goal. If DR Congo can frustrate Portugal, absorb the 20 pass sequences without breaking, and escape with a 0-0 or a 1-1 draw, it would be viewed as a monumental tactical victory.
Wow. Then, match 2 is against Colombia, June 23, down in Guadalajara, Mexico.
A very different test.
Yeah. This is a battle-hardened South American squad featuring Luis Diaz from Liverpool and James Rodriguez. And the tactical previews explicitly highlight the high altitude of Guadalajara as a major factor.
Because Colombia plays a very different style than Portugal. They rely on high physical intensity, extremely aggressive pressing, and direct vertical transitions.
They want chaos.
They want the game to be chaotic. And the altitude in Mexico will severely test the lungs of De Sabre's midfield press. This match is widely viewed by betting analysts as the defining battle for second place in the group.
Okay.
If DR Congo's defensive wall, anchored by Mbemba and Wan-Bissaka, can absorb Colombia's early physical onslaught without breaking, well, Colombia has a tendency to overcommit players forward.
Which leaves space.
Exactly. It will leave massive patches of green grass behind them for Wissa to exploit on the counterattack.
And finally, match 3 is against Uzbekistan on June 27 in Atlanta.
This is the tricky one.
Uzbekistan are making their World Cup debut. They are managed by the legendary Italian defender Fabio Cannavaro. They play a highly organized low block, and they rely heavily on their target man striker, Eldor Shomurodov.
This matchup presents the most fascinating tactical trap of the entire group stage for DR Congo.
Okay, explain the mechanics of this trap, because on paper, Uzbekistan is the weakest team in the group.
Right.
This should be the game DR Congo targets for a guaranteed 3 points.
It is a trap precisely because of tactical mirroring.
What's that?
Uzbekistan, exactly like DR Congo, wants to sit deep, concede ball possession, and play entirely on the counterattack. But a football match requires someone to actually attack. If both teams just sit back in a low block, the game grinds to a complete halt. Because Uzbekistan is the underdog here, they will happily concede 70% possession to DR Congo.
Oh, wow.
And this forces the Sabres team to do the one thing they are worst at: controlling the ball and initiating a proactive attack through a set defense.
It completely pulls them out of their comfort zone.
Exactly. The transmission we talked about, Siddiqui and Mukau, they will be forced to find microscopic passing lanes through Cannavaro's highly disciplined defensive lines. DR Congo will likely have to rely heavily on Mbemba's set-piece headers just to break the deadlock.
Wow. So the team they are mathematically most likely to beat is tactically designed to perfectly expose their biggest structural flaw.
It's the irony of football.
That is incredible. And speaking of mathematics, let's look at the betting landscape, because the numbers reveal a massive shift in how the World Cup actually works now.
Well, the format change is huge.
It is. The odds makers have DR Congo as a massive plus 2,000 long shot to win Group K.
Right.
But they are only plus 120 to advance out of the group.
And that severe discrepancy in the odds is entirely the result of the new, expanded 48-team World Cup format and how that format mathematically alters overall tournament strategy.
Walk me through the math of the 48-team format. How does it actually change the game on the pitch?
Okay, so in the old 32-team format, there were 8 groups of 4. Only the top 2 teams from each group advanced.
Right.
Playing for a draw was incredibly risky because if you finished third, you just went home. But in the 2026 format, there are 12 groups of 4.
Okay.
The top 2 teams still advance, which gives you 24 teams. But to reach a clean 32-team knockout bracket, the tournament also advances the 8 best third-place teams.
Wow, 8 out of 12.
Exactly. 8 out of 12 third-place teams advance. That means mathematically, 66% of the teams that finish third will move on to the knockouts.
So if 66% of third-place teams advance, the ultimate tiebreaker between all those third-place teams in different groups isn't points, it's goal differential.
Exactly. Goal differential becomes the absolute paramount currency of the group stage.
Right.
Let's say DR Congo loses to Portugal, draws with Colombia, and draws with Uzbekistan. They have 2 points. In the old format, they are eliminated immediately.
Pack your bags.
But in this format, if they lose to Portugal only 1-0, their goal differential is just -1.
Oh.
Another third-place team in another group might also have 2 points. But if they got blown out by Brazil 4-0, their goal differential is -4. DR Congo advances over them.
This blows my mind.
It's crazy math.
Because under Sebastian de Sabre, this team has literally never lost a match by more than 1 goal.
Never.
Their entire architectural identity is built on tight margins, defensive grit, and just absolutely refusing to be blown out. The math of the new 48-team format mathematically rewards the exact style of football that DR Congo already plays.
Perfectly.
They are a team built for sheer survival, entering a tournament where survival of the slimmest margins is now heavily, heavily subsidized.
It is just the perfect alignment of tactical identity and tournament format. They don't need to win beautifully. They literally just need to refuse to be destroyed.
We have covered an immense amount of ground today. Let's try to pull all of these threads together for the listener. Let's do it. To synthesize the mechanics of this deep dive, the Democratic Republic of Congo arrives in North America carrying the immense cultural weight of a 52-year World Cup absence and the lingering ghosts of 1974.
Yep.
But under the dictatorial architecture of Sebastian de Sabre, they have forged a completely new identity. They operate this rigid, incredibly disciplined 4-1-4-1 defensive block, which is anchored by elite European talent like Mbemba, Wan-Bissaka, and Tuanzebe.
And they compensate for a lack of fluid attacking creativity by relying on the explosive half-space runs of Yoane Wissa, the veteran positioning of Cedric Bakambu, and that vital midfield transmission provided by young prodigies like Siddiqui and Mukau.
Right.
And they have done all of this while navigating the severe psychological and logistical disruptions of an Ebola outbreak that forced them to isolate in a Belgian quarantine camp.
And now they face a very complex tactical gauntlet in Group K. They must survive the possession overloads of Portugal, the physical chaos and altitude against Colombia, and that frustrating tactical mirror trap of Uzbekistan. And that leaves me with one final, just chilling thought.
Let's hear it.
Something for you, the listener, to keep in the back of your mind as you watch this tournament unfold over the next month. In a high-stakes knockout tournament, the most dangerous team isn't always the one that scores the most beautiful goals or completes the most passes.
No.
The most dangerous team is the one that simply refuses to be broken. Under De Saver, this DR Congo team has literally forgotten how the mechanics of a blowout loss even work.
They don't know how to give up.
So imagine being a top-tier, heavily favored European or South American seed in the round of 32. You draw DR Congo. You think it's a guaranteed easy win, but the 4-1-4-1 block won't crack.
Nope.
Wan-Bissaka won't let your winger pass. Mbemba is clearing every single cross. They just absorb every single punch you throw at them.
Just waiting.
They drag you into the 80th minute, then the 90th minute, deep into the suffocating, exhausting, unpredictable waters of extra time or penalty kicks. Just exactly like they did against Jamaica in the 100th minute in that stadium in Guadalajara.
It is a terrifying prospect for an arrogant favorite. They are a fortress that simply won't fall.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep your eyes locked on the Leopards in Group K. They have waited a grueling 52 years for this exact moment, and they have built the perfect machine to ensure they do not go quietly.